G'day everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this episode, I'm just going to talk a little bit about something which is a kind of byproduct of the move to electric cars and its effect on cars like this, the Maserati and Ferrari, Lamborghini, all those kind of supercar makers who have over the years developed these magnificent engines, internal combustion engines, like, you know, the Ferrari V12, the Lamborghini V12 and V10. I mean, these are absolute works of art. And one of the most tragic things about the push for electrification is that eventually these cars will stop being made. And I think that is an absolute tragedy. And I saw this article about how Ferrari is going to deliver an electric sports car in 2025, which is going to be pure EV, and how it's desperate to try to retain some of the engagement that you get from having an internal combustion engine. And it's all a bit sad, really. I'll talk you through it because I've got some interesting stuff coming, so stay tuned. But let's just read the article. Ferrari patents its EV future 2025 electric sports car to deliver Ferrari driving sensation, quotes. For close to 75 years as a road car manufacturer, Ferrari brand has been built on racing success in its mighty engines. Variously V6, V8 and most significantly glorious 12-cylinder engines, sometimes horizontally opposed but most famously arranged in a V. The V12s developed through the 1940s, 50s and 60s by engineering giants like Aurelio Lampredi, Gioacchino Colombo and Vittorio Jano that solidified the brand's reputation for stunning performance. After all, two of Enzo Ferrari's most famous quotes come from his close to single-minded focus on engine power. Aerodynamics are for people who can't build engines, and I build engines and attach wheels to them. You know, it just shows how the engine was the heart and soul of these cars. However, in mid-2022, the company announced it will build its first electric sports car by 2025. At the same time confirming 40% of all production will be pure EVs and 80% electrified by 2030. And so what they've done is that they've come up with this way of making electric motors make a sound. And we'll look at the patent in a minute, but what they're saying here, President of Ferrari Australasia, Jan Hendrik Vos, told Cars Guide, "We're working on unique solutions to deliver a Ferrari driving sensation while driving an electric Ferrari. We have already patented technology for the sound the engine makes, the original sound, and how to use that to deliver the sensation of driving a Ferrari, even in the electric Ferrari." Oh, it's tragic. It's tragic. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to fake a V12 sound or an internal combustion engine sound and apply it to an electric motor. An electric motor is essentially, well, it's very simple and it's soulless. It has no heart. It's got no spirit. It's got no soul, I guess. And Ferrari recognized that the sound of the engine and the whole interaction with the engine sound is a huge part of the driving experience. So they put in this patent application, and it's really interesting because it says some really interesting things. So this patent is called Road Vehicle Equipped with a Reproduction Device for the Realization of a Sound that can be associated with an electric motor. I'll put a link in the description to this article from Cars Guide and also to the patent if you want to read it. It's really very technical, and I'm going to try and simplify it just for the purposes of this video. Let's just read a few of the paragraphs here because it's really interesting. In a high-performance sports car, the sound produced by the engine, usually an internal combustion engine, and perceived inside the passenger compartment is important, for a significant part of the driving pleasure of a high-performance sports car is due to the very sound produced by the engine. Furthermore, the sound generated by the engine allows drivers to have an immediate feedback on the conditions of the vehicle and on what, for example, while driving on a track, has to be done in order to reach given performances. Furthermore, among the main features of the sound produced by the engine and perceived inside the passenger compartment, I should just stop and say that patents are written in a very verbose and very technical way, so they have to write everything in a particular style, so that's why it sounds a bit fake. They're not only the intensity of the sound, but also the, quote, quality of the sound itself, namely the sound produced by the engine and perceived inside the passenger compartment not only needs to be, quote, strong, but also has to be, quote, good. Due to the recent development of electric drive cars, traditional internal combustion engines have been replaced by electric machines, hereinafter referred to as electric motors, which, however, are extremely quiet, thus reducing the driving pleasure in high-performance vehicles. I mean, they're saying it. They're saying the quiet part out loud. As a matter of fact, they do not produce a characteristic sound which can be enjoyed by a driver of a high-performance car. As a consequence, in high-performance sports cars, the sound produced by an electric motor is not perceived inside the passenger compartment, or anyway, can be at least partially disappointing. Anyway, so they know that, you know, so much of the enjoyment of these kind of cars is from the engine and the sound it makes. And so what they're trying to do, I'm not going to go into details, but I don't know if you've ever had a drone or anything like that, but sometimes when you have a drone, I'll try and find a clip. I think my son's got a drone that does this, but when you turn on the drone, sometimes they play little tunes, and that's not a loudspeaker or anything making that sound. What they're doing is they're actually sending high frequency signals to the motors themselves, and the motors are vibrating backwards and forwards really fast enough for it to make a sound. I can feel it. Yeah. And this is exactly what Ferrari is going to do. What they're going to do is they're going to use the existing electric motor windings and mechanical components to create this fake engine sound. So what happens is that although there's only, you know, one set of wires going to the motor, they actually send two different signals through that same wire. The main signal, obviously, is the power to drive the wheels and cause the wheels to turn. But then superimposed on that signal, there's a higher frequency signal which goes into the motor and causes these like vibrations, these sound frequency vibrations, which make the noise. And there's a diagram in the patent here, which I'll put on the screen, which explains how the driving motor signals and the sound signals are all kind of processed and joined together to make this sound. So they're going to use the electric motor as like a resonator, and any other parts of the car that kind of are connected to it, like suspension components and whatever. They're going to use that as the sound generating, or the sound resonating box, if you like, the resonator, and use signals sent to the electric motor at those higher frequencies to cause the sound generation, which they can then link to, you know, engine speed, other conditions, and to make it feel like a real car. It's still 100% fake. 100% fake. You know, you could play, you know, Mary Had a Little Lamb through that system. So what they're going to have to do, they're going to have to record some sound that they think this car should sound like, and then store that in the processing unit so that it can be pushed into the motor at appropriate times and frequencies to make it sound like an internal combustion engine car. It's tragic. Whereas, you know, why don't you just keep the internal combustion engine? Small volume manufacturers like Ferrari, Lamborghini, Maserati, they really should be allowed to continue developing these magnificent engines, because it's a craft that is just going to get lost. And I think that's really sad, really tragic. So that's what we can look forward to in the future. Fake generated sound pumped through the electric motors of your next Ferrari. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. Anyway, that's just about it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.